It is time for my favorite segment of the Simon TV show. I didn't plan this. This is absolutely impromptu, but here we go for an episode of Fun with Fountain Pens.
Here's a house. Here's a door. Windows 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready to knock? Turn the lock.
10 school. Okay, you guys, I hope you like that. Because I haven't set it up and I'm not quite sure why my camera is doing that. It's kind of like over focused. But because Shelley, who was the inaugural winner of the Simon TV giveaway of a fountain pen, is an enthusiast for green ink, I thought I would just quickly go through some of the green inks that I have. And Joe, if you have a look, you can see how how the green screen isn't kind of quite working here at the moment. And also, I think you can actually see just over my shoulder here one of the clips itself on the green screen. So I still haven't quite got the settings right. You see what I mean? Like, I look all right, but the green screen is just not quite negative enough. But anyway, onto the green inks. Now, like most pen colors, there are just a plethora of green inks available for a variety of different purposes. The largest variety in an ink color is definitely blue. You get flame wars amongst fountain pen enthusiasts about the advantages of this blue over that blue. All right, it all just comes down to personal preference, and there are some great inks which are available for not much money, and there are some inks which are much more expensive. I'm going to take you through a few of them now, but just before I do, I realize that on this scene, my positioning is not right on myself, so I just need to come down a little bit like that, so that you can see the top of my head. Okay, all right, so I've got a whole bunch of green inks lined up here, and I thought I'd just take you through them. Actually, that's not a green, that's a blue. Oh my, no. Yeah, that's a blue. Oh my God. I'm going to have to find a green ink. One moment, you guys. But I'll go through some others to start with. All right. To start with, a really great green ink is the Montblanc. These come in 60ml bottles. It's a very, very attractive bottle. All right. It has a sort of like a grip, you see, so you can grip it, which is really helpful when you're filling your pen with it, as all of Montblanc's standard inks do. And it is very, very green. I'm not going to give you guys a smear test today because I've only got 5 fingers and I've got more inks to show you than that. So I'll just show you what the color looks like in the cap. Okay. So here we have the Montblanc ink, Montblanc green. Okay, bugger it. I'll just do a quick smear test because this is worth doing. Hope you can see that. Wipe my finger on a cloth. All right, it's a good standard ink. You get that for about $50. It'll last you a couple of years. Montblanc also does every year a specialty ink that they will only ever do once, and sometimes those inks prove super popular, and they increase in value. Sometimes they don't, right? And you just keep them. A good example is this Émeraud. I don't know where I got it from. I don't forget. I know it's a specialty ink, but I can't remember when I bought it or what have you, and I'm not even sure I've ever actually opened it. In fact, I haven't. You can tell that I haven't because it's still got the plastic lining on the top. So I don't actually know what this green ink is like, but we'll give it a smear test anyway. Oh. Okay. So that's a much more sort of azure green ink, you can see. All right, so that's a Montblanc Émeraud. I don't reckon this is unavailable, so it's probably not worth showing you. I tell you what, I'm going to put that back in the box, and now that I think of it, there's no point showing you inks that you can't actually buy anymore because they're no longer on the market. So what I'll do instead is I'll show you the boxes. I have some other limited edition ones. This is a Montblanc Forest Green. This is an homage to the Brothers Grimm. So what Montblanc did in the year that this ink became available is they released a specialty one-off pen called an homage to the Brothers Grimm. They designed pens that are inspired by a particular person, right? You can get a John F. Kennedy pen, Marilyn Monroe pen, what have you, and sometimes they release an ink along with it. I didn't buy the pen, but I did quite like the forest green ink, so I bought that. The other one, this is quite a nice one because it's really an unusual, almost pastel colour. It's an homage to Victoria and Albert, meaning Prince Albert and Queen Victoria. And in this colour, it's very, very light. And I haven't actually opened it yet, but I do quite like it because it is, it's a colour that was important to that couple. There were a couple of pens that came along with this. One which was designed for men, the Prince Albert Montblanc pen, and one for women, the Queen Victoria pen. They are particularly expensive. From memory, it was a huge amount of money they wanted for the premier edition of that pen, and this is the ink that goes with it, and I'm showing it to you even though you can't have it. Okay. Now, getting into a more specialty ink, this one comes to us from Jacques Herbin. Jacques Herbin is the oldest ink manufacturer in the world. Since the 16th century, Jacques Herbin in Paris has been, I think in the second arrondissement, might even be the first arrondissement, has been making fountain pen inks. Jacques himself was a French sailor. He was a commercial sailor between India and Europe, and got into the ink business, I think because, a lot of inks were made in India, and he was just picking them up and taking them and selling them in France. Anyway, they've been around for a very, very long time. This is Émeraud de Chivor. Chivor is an emerald mine that I think in Colombia that the conquistadors, the Spanish conquistadors, discovered hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And this ink is motivated by it. But if you have a look at the bottom of it, can you see how it's a different color there? That is because it is full of glitter. When you shake this bottle, some people say you should never shake fountain pen inks. I don't think that's true. But when you shake it, and I'm going to shake it in a moment, you'll see that the glitter permeates throughout the rest of the ink. Okay, so you can see it sort of going away there. All right, so most of that is gone. So I'll do an ink test for you now and give it a moment to dry. Actually, guys, I'm going to use a piece of tissue because the bottle is actually quite narrow. Okay, that's quite a lot of ink that I've just laid down, actually more than I intended. And it's probably going to take quite a while to dry, but hopefully you'll be able to see by the time that it does that it's a very, very shading ink. Actually, I'll turn the page around so you can see that better. It's a very, very multicolored ink, which is shading. You can kind of see the different shading, but also as it dries, you will see there's glitter in it. Now, this ink, you've got to be careful with inks that have got glitter in them, because if you're not careful, they can clog the mechanisms of a fountain pen. And for that reason, I never use this ink in a very, very valuable pen, but I do like to use it with a pen that lays down a lot of ink. For instance, Shelley, your Naginata, if you're holding the pen very, very perpendicular to, rather parallel to the page, will lay down a lot of ink, which would be suitable for this. And it's really, people like it when you send them a greeting card or something like that, and I use it for that. Like, I will title someone's name using a pen which lays down a lot of ink on the cover of a greeting card or a birthday card, Christmas card or something like that, and people absolutely love it. Okay, so there's that green. All right, and the next one I have for you, I thought is really cool. This is really, really inexpensive. This comes to us from Noodlers, and I see there's some discoloration at the bottom, and I'm not sure what that's about. This comes from Noodlers, and it's inspired by Lawrence of Arabia, T.E. Lawrence, who's one of my favorite authors. His book, 7 Pillars of Wisdom, is just absolutely tremendous reading, and I believe a must read for anyone interested in the history of of Middle Eastern geopolitics. In fact, Misha here in the chat has been reading that book, and I'm interested in catching up with her at some point to talk about it. Anyway, this is just it's inspired by the British khaki green that they used to wear in World War II. So it's a very, very different it's a much more sort of natural foresty type color. And I think it is absolutely tremendous. I use this ink all the time because it's an earthy, it's got a natural feel. Okay. All right. Now, the final ink that I have for you, I'm going to have to come back with in a moment because I forgot to get it on the shelf and I've got to go and find it. I meant to get the Lamy green, but I accidentally grabbed the Lamy turquoise. So guys, this is some fountain pen inks. I'll come back in a moment, show you the glitter in the Jacques Herbin green, and then I'll show you the ink that I'm absolutely going to recommend, which is the Lamy standard green. Guys, here's some more music in the meantime. Sorry I didn't have the right bottle. Okay, you guys are back with part 2 of fun with fountain pens. So the Jacques Herbin Émeraud de Chivor ink has had an opportunity to dry, and I wonder if you can see on camera. Can you see the amount of glitter in it? So you have it's a sheening ink, it's a shining ink, and it's a shading ink, and you can kind of see the difference in shade as I've laid down a lot of ink on the paper, and you can kind of see the gold glitter inside it. As I was talking about, you see, this is not an ink that you could use for professional correspondence or you could use in the workplace. However, it is very much an ink that looks marvelous in greeting cards. As greens go, it is pretty cool. All right, but I'm going to turn the page around because the ink that I do actually want to recommend is the Lamy green. Now, a 50ml bottle of this costs you $15 to $20, and it is, like it says on the box, it is green. Now, the thing is with Lamy, they are a company that is absolutely inspired by the Bauhaus design movement. Okay, form follows function. Everything they do is about functionality first. When they say a green ink is green, they are giving you the absolutely definition of green, right? Like, you know, if you were to look at it on a color chart, it would just be pretty much exactly, you know, in terms of the RGB values, it is just precisely green. Lamy is based in Heidelberg in Germany. I imagine that there are German scientist type dudes wearing lab coats working on this stuff all of the time, really, really concerned on making sure that when they say something is green, it is absolutely green. When they say it is blue, it is blue. All right, so I'll show you what that looks like. And guys, I have ink absolutely all over my hands. Different colored green inks, which is pretty cool. I wear ink stains on my fingers as badges of honor. I love to have them. Joel asks in the chat if I have ink all over my furniture. No, fountain pen ink. Most fountain pen inks are water soluble. If you get them on your clothing, get them on your skin, get them on your furniture, you can simply wash it off with water. I have one clean finger. It's my little finger to do the green test for Shelley. Here it is. This is the Lamy green. It is absolutely delightful. It dries relatively quickly. And I think it is just exactly perfect. It is just a standard green ink. When people ask me for an ink recommendation, they tell me their favorite color. My default answer is buy the Lamy one. If you don't like it, consider some of the others. That forest green that you can get for a similar sort of price from Noodler's ink in the United States is worthy of consideration if you like those more sort of natural colors, or if you want to go crazy and you're intending to use an ink for sending greeting cards, consider the Jacques Herbin. Guys, I have not caught up with the chat because I've been so busy messing around with doing a fun with fountain pens thing, but I hope you found that interesting. This is the first time I've kind of done an ink comparison review, and I didn't plan it, and I did it live, and I hope it came out okay. Yeah, I might do another one of these, but I might put a little bit more planning into it. Shelley, I hope you found that useful. Do let me know in the comments, and if you I can give you some suggestions on places that you can go to purchase these inks. Guys, you are watching Simon TV. I've probably got about another half an hour left to go. Yeah, half an hour left to go. I've got another couple of articles, a few more tunes, and I'll catch up on the chat in a minute.